Let's see here. Ian will always be a GIGACHAD raid designer. Update 200 pulls for a mid-tier boss from both Liquid and Echo in 24 hours. Per league sources, Ian Azakostas allegedly had damning emails about the balancing of Halandras. I don't ever want to hear those crybabies talk about a raid being undertuned again. Give that fucking crab 90 million HP and make every mechanic wipe the raid. I mean, that's not the first time they've done something like that, and I'm pretty sure it won't be the last. The fact is that a lot of times you have things like this happen, and it's just... It is incredible to me to see Blizzard design a raid for 50 people. It is unreal that this is actually what they're doing. I cannot believe it. Why are you... you know what I think it is? It's no good design. The thing is, to me, is this. Like, if you don't try, you'll never get it. Yeah, but nobody, like, the thing is that it's not a real tweet, idiot. Guys, yes, by the way, this isn't real. I know that there might be people that think that it is. It's not. The 50 people, the only one really playing the game? Yeah, I think so, too. And these little salty design that raid, huh? Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, I just feel like the game, this is what I've said before, right? I feel like WoW has trended more and more towards not patronizing, but towards appealing to extreme types of players. Extreme PvPers, extreme raiders, extreme casuals, people that want to put in no effort, people that want to put in all of the effort, and everybody in the middle of that just kind of gets left out because the game keeps getting pulled in these extremes, and it's not being designed in mind of the average player. This is not being designed in the mind of the average person just enjoying the game, etc. And I think that once you lose sight of that, and like the way that these things happen is very simple. Who do you think Blizzard hires from the community? Well, they hire the better players. It's like they're not hiring somebody that does Torghast runs every day. They're hiring world first raiders and rank 1 gladiators. So guess what the Blizzard is doing? They're making more changes that are based around that type of mindset, because those are the people that are getting hired. Who are they talking to? Who are the popular streamers? Many of them are rank 1 raiders and rank 1 PvPers. That's what it is. So you get in this feedback loop where you're just constantly hearing feedback from the most extreme parts of your community, and then you don't really think about the average player because that voice isn't really as loud. I think that's what happens. Evolve, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And getting cutting edge in a dad guilt is expansion easily though. Yeah, you're probably Horde, number 1. And number 2, you're probably not as casual as you think you are. Now, I think that to the, in my opinion, to the average player, in my opinion, does not raid on a schedule. You cannot tell me that the average player experience is to dedicate time. The average, like the most amount of players dedicate time every single week to raid. Like, this just does not happen. So, like, you're talking about getting cutting edge. You are in the 1%. You don't even know it because you're comparing yourself, and this is the thing, right? It's on Twitch, right? You're comparing yourself. The culture that we have on Twitch is that if you look at the Lost Ark section, for example, everybody in the Lost Ark section is pretty much tier 3. Every single player is. Why is that? Because those are people whose job it is to play the game. You're not seeing the average player. You're not seeing the everyday dad, the everyday girl that's just sitting around, you know, barely got into tier 2 and she's playing the game. No, you're getting into people that are, you know, these are just like very, very serious players, etc. And I think that's what it is. In Classic, I think the average player had a guild with planned raids. No. Maybe, but like the thing is, it's also like a 1 day a week thing. I think that many of them didn't raid beyond that, at least not in my experience. So what I see happening here with this and just with everything, Evolve, thanks again for the 5. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Are they getting desperate to hold on to the 1% now that the 99% are leaking away to Final Fantasy and Lost Ark? It's actually the opposite. They're so desperate to hold on to the 1% that they're causing the 99% to leak over to Lost Ark and Final Fantasy. I think a lot of the Final Fantasy players and a lot of the Lost Ark players are displaced WoW players. These are people that grew up playing World of Warcraft. These are people that love the game, but they just don't feel like the game appeals to their needs anymore. It doesn't appeal to what they want anymore. And so now these people, you know, they've graduated from Draenei to Catgirls. They've graduated from, you know, like a Worgen to a Hrothgar, right? Like this is This is what they do. This is the logical progression of thing. They've graduated from a gnome to a Lalafell, or whatever the fuck this shit is. And so the fact to me is this. I think that in my opinion, I think if a raid takes more than like 3 or 4 days to clear by the best guilds in the world, the raid's too hard. I do. Like, these people are just, like, it's their job to beat the raid. It's their job. Like, that's what they do for work. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, because, like, there's a lot of people that think, oh, no. Here's what's funny to me. Is that if those players beat the same raid that you probably have an ego for clearing, they would have beat it in 3 or 4 days. Because it gets nerfed 50 fucking times. So whenever you kill Halandris in 6 months from now, halfway through the content patch, realistically, Copus Misty, thanks for the 5 subs, if that Halandris was put in front of Limit and Echo on week 1, they would have probably cleared it in 20 pulls. But they're fighting bosses that you don't even ever experience. So if you say that, oh, it's too hard or not, you don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a mid-boss, etc. Yeah, you guys see what I'm saying? Health nerf 10% in Mythic? That's massive. That's a huge fucking thing, man. It's just a mid-boss. It's a giant enemy crab. Yeah, it seems like it's pretty easy. You just hit the legs, right? That's it. Is Mythic Ultimate supposed to be the longer the patch goes? It's not supposed to be cleared in the first week? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because Mythic is the hard... It's the same thing as, like, Elden Ring. Like, people being able to... Like, this is a good way to look at it, right? Is that people being able to clear Elden Ring and beat Elden Ring in 1 day is not an indication that Elden Ring is an easy game. It's an indication that the people that tried to do that are very, very good at the game. Designing a game and using your metric of success that is how hard is it for the hardest player invalidates everybody else's experience below that. Yeah, and that's really what happens, right? Is like people base things around how literally the top 100 players in the game approach the game. Like, I've seen plenty of Sekiro speedruns, right? I've seen a whole lot of them, but whenever I fight Genichiro, it's not as easy for me as it is for the guys that do it, right? Like, that's it. Like, I can't get him in that little corner and hit him with the edge of my sword every time. You know, it's fucking hard, man. And so, yeah, it's just, you just contradicted yourself? No, I didn't. If I contradicted myself, then you just don't understand what I'm saying. There's nothing that I'm saying that doesn't make sense here. Worse players have lower difficulties to do? I still think that it's too hard. Even in that context, I still think that it's too hard. Because here's the reality, is that development time, a massive amount of development time, is being put into these raids and this difficulty. These are being, there is a massive amount of time that people put into that Blizzard puts into designing these raids and fine-tuning them. It is substantial. And I don't care what anybody tells me. I know that these mythic, I'm getting jumbled in my head because I was reading something in chat. The people at Blizzard are designing it for Mythic World First Raiders in mind. That's what they're designing it for. 100%. It's obvious. And so anyway, they do this. And every moment that they spend designing content that is experienced by less than 0.1% of the population is time that they don't spend designing content for everybody else. It's time that they don't spend making the average player's experience better. And that's what the issue is. The issue with, like, I mean, let's say Final Fantasy Ultimates. That's something you can compare to like a Mythic Raid or something like that, sure. And the reason why people are okay with that is that the casual player experience does not suffer because of because of Ultimates. You see what I'm saying? Harder the raid is, more exposure to the game because there's higher there's more viewers. Exactly, yeah. And I think that's what it is. Do you think it's massive that 20% of people clear the mythic versions of raids in Lost Ark? It is. Yeah, I think that's a massive success metric too. I think that's a good thing. Designing games for our top 1% is how you kill games. I think so too. Ultimates don't affect the average player experience. True. That's very true. and they want the viewership. I think that's effectively what it is. Yeah, I really do think so, and that all the players are paying for it. It sucks, but like, yeah, there it is. Really doesn't make sense. Of course, Ultimates take away from Final Fantasy players. You're right, because everything is a zero-sum game, and there's no gain that can be made without something else being lost in trade of that. You're right. You know, the law of equivalent exchange, okay? I, too, watched Full Metal Alchemist whenever I was younger. I did. And so, yes, I see what you're saying, but it is not perceived that way, and also, Ultimates are one fight. I mean, really. It's like we're gonna get, like, how many Ultimates did they bring out? Almost, thanks very much for 5 gifted subs. I appreciate that. How many Ultimates did they bring out in all of Shadowbringers? They brought out one, right? It was like 1 or 2 Ultimates. One fight versus multiple raids every single expansion. I think it's a much bigger difference. Ultimates use models that already exist? Well, yeah, so does Mythic Raid, though, to be fair. Yeah, 2 supposedly coming in this expansion. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Tasty Milk, thank you very much for the 5 Get the Community subs. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, either way, I just think Blizzard focuses too much on making raids hard for the top 1% of players, and they should focus on making the game fun for the rest of the player base.